Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amaruddin from the third semester Universitas Islam Majapahit or UNIM. Okay, I will explain about the wave. Yes, a book. The title is The Wave. I will make it in about 10 minutes. Okay, let's go. Okay, the title is The Wave. The Wave is from Morton Rue or Todd Strasser. The characters is Laurie Saunders, the novel's main protagonist, strict student A and head of his high school newspaper, The Garden Grapevine. Okay, next is Amy Smith, an old friend of Laurie, in constant competition with Laurie, which is weighing on their friendship. Tension finally boils over when Wave is in full swing and Laurie is no longer special. Okay, the next is Robert Billings. Class loser who is the target of many jokes more often. Okay, described as creepy and weird. He was a heavy boy with a short tail who always hung out and his hair was always messy. Okay, the next is David Collins. David Collins is Laurie's boyfriend, described as a tall and handsome boy who became a runner on the soccer team. He ended up going too deep with Wave and taking him out of the classroom and onto the soccer field in an attempt to unify their losing team. Okay. Next is Ben Ross, high school history teacher who tends to be preoccupied with his work to the point where he tends to forget that the whole world exists. Okay, the next is Carl Block. The investigative reporter for the Garden Grapevine. He is a tall, thin man with blonde hair who is always hilarious. The next is Alex Cooper, music reviewer for the Garden Grapevine and friend of Carl Block. Is burly and dark. Okay, the next is Brad, a boy who enjoyed tormenting Robert Billings. Okay, the synopsis. It's a movie and it's a short story, it's a book, it's a scary classroom experiment. It's The Wave, Todd Strasser's 1981 novel. The Wave didn't start off as a book. It began as a way for real-life teacher Ron Jones to try to teach. To teach is a story class about one of the most hideous events in human history, the Holocaust. Okay, his experiments was a little too successful and some 200 students at Elwood P. Cabernet Center Hikes joined. The third wave with disastrous effects. John describes the experiments as one of the most frightening events experienced in the classroom. Okay. Setting the time and place. Okay. Time and place setting. At school during the school's day, in the stands during the match, Tim sent off in the night from her home and sleep at his doorstep. Okay, for the plot. The background of this book is Gordon High School in the spring of 1969. The plot revolves around the story teacher Mr. Bean Ross, his high school students, and he experiments and the experiments he carries out in an attempt to teach them what it is like to live in the German Third Reich. Okay, Ross considered this a planned and experiment. The next day he began indoctrinating the class using the slogan "Strength through discipline," arranging it in a way like sitting down a certain way and telling him how to answer questions. Okay, the next is Laurie Saunders, a student in Mr. Ross. At the start of the week, began to think that the wave had too much influence. Okay, now united in the belief that the wave should be stopped, Laurie and David go to Ross' house to convince Penrose to stop the program. He held a wave meeting in the auditorium and requested that only wave members attend. They gathered in a manner akin to Nazi demonstrations. Okay, everyone was shocked when Mr. Ross projected the image of Adolf Hitler. He made it clear that there was no leader and no National Wave Party. If there is a leader, it's the man on the projection screen. He explained how their obedience made them act like Nazis. The shocked students dropped all of their wave-branded trinkets and items and slowly left the room. As Ben turns to leave, the only person who really thrives on wave, Robert, stands alone, annoyed that the wave is ending. During the wave, he has finally accepted as an equal. No one bothered him and he had friends. But his new social status was now worthless without the wave. Okay, moral value. It's a good way for teachers to start conversations with students about the Holocaust. We agree with you. Yes. We agree with this statement. Okay. Another lesson here relates to individual strengths and the difficulties of overcoming group thinking within the context of the group. Okay, the strength. I believe it to still be relevant. I believe it to still be relevant reading for young adults of today. I would recommend this book to anyone who is intrigued by the weak tendency we all have within us to fit in and conform to the masses, and the repercussions such tendencies might create, and weaknesses. This film is too focused and not good for a person who likes jokes. Okay, for my comment, yes, commenter is Indonesian from comment. Yes, for my comment, you must read it too. Thanks. If there is mistakes, Please apologize.